Hello, everyone, and welcome to Aspen Affairs on GrassRoots TV. I'm Debbie Braun, and today we're taking a close look at the Aspen School District ballot measure appearing on the November 4th, 2025 election. These measures are going to affect every family, taxpayer, and business across Aspen, Snowmass, and Pitkin County, with implications for housing, teacher pay, and our local economy. And because this is Colorado, you can vote early or by mail. Ballots are being mailed on October 10th. Early in-person voting begins Monday, October 27th, and of course, Election Day, Tuesday, November 4th, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Today, we're going to explore what's being proposed, why it matters, and what it could mean for our business community. My guests today are Sarah Daniels, board member of the Aspen School District, and Theren Malberry, our superintendent. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
I love being here. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, no problem. Well, let's get started. Sarah, many in the community know you from the work on the District Accountability Committee and your work with the Aspen Educational Foundation. Just give us a really short version of your path into this role, what drew you to serve on the school board, and how your background informs your approach in district financing and planning.
Sure, Debbie. I am Sarah Daniels. I have two children in the Aspen School District, and I decided to be a mommy in the crowd, and I left my job back when my oldest was in kindergarten, and I knew that I wanted to volunteer in schools, and so have been volunteering ever since. Prior to being on the school board, I was involved with the Aspen Education Foundation, which really showed me what Aspen schools needed in terms of finances. And then the District Accountability Committee, which really looks at the academics and how we can improve those. And so both of those things drove me to run for the school board. And I am in year 2 of my term, 4-year term. Okay. I'm currently the vice president of the school board. In my capacity here, I'm not going to speak for the school board, yep. But I love being on the school board. It's a really wonderful way of getting back to our community because schools are essential for our community.
I agree. Mm-hmm. Theren, what was your path to becoming the superintendent of the school?
So I have just started my 32nd year in education. I've been a high school principal in 2 districts. I did 20 years at the Pueblo City Schools District, okay. And I've been in the Aspen School District since 2015, where I started as the high school principal, moved to the assistant superintendency, and beginning with last year, my first year of a superintendency.
And I should also mention that Theren is a board member for the Aspen Chamber Resort Association. Thank you, Theren.
Yes, of course.
You have got really straddling 2 amazing things, the business community along right. with your schools, and how we can really form bonds and work together. So let's do a little context setting right now for the viewers. Mm-hmm. Here is the setup. This November, voters are going to see 2 key questions, maybe 3, the mill levy override to fund ongoing operations, and a $95 million bond for capital projects, including staff housing and facility improvements. Depending on where you live, there may also be an education tax question for Aspen or Snowmass, and with several local measures on the same ballot, from fire protection to early childhood, the total tax load could push Aspen's combined rate above 10%. Let's kind of dig into that and see what that all means. Okay, so let's start with you, Sarah. Mm-hmm. What's driving the timing here, and why does the district feel like these measures just can't wait for another election cycle?
That's a wonderful question. So the Aspen School Board last year considered putting the bond on the ballot, but we didn't feel like we were ready yet. Okay. We felt like we hadn't done any master planning for facilities to think about what we really need in the next 20 years in the future to educate our children. And so we wanted to put the time and the energy in rather than just going to voters and saying, hey, we want some money. Yeah. Because we want the voters to know that we are very, very thoughtful about all of this. Everyone on the board pays taxes. I certainly pay property taxes. And so asking all of the parents and all of the citizens of Aspen and Snowmass to raise raise taxes is a lot, particularly after like new property valuations and people's tax implications went up. But we really are at a junction where we need all of this funding. We need the bond because of improved capital infrastructure. We are desperate for the mill levy override, and that is because the state of Colorado changed their school funding formula, and so we need that money in order to keep ourselves whole. And then the additional measures are because living in Aspen, in this area, we have amazing funding partners that help to improve our education. And so there's a ballot measure on there that would increase sales taxes in Aspen, and there is a measure that would increase property taxes in Snowmass by a little bit. And what that is doing is trying to make our school district better through those local tax initiatives.
Thank you, Sarah. Theren, as she mentioned, the state's new school financing formula is really shifting dollars away from districts like Aspen, and they're leaving like multi-million-dollar gaps. How big is that gap, and how much of that gap is filled by these ballot measures?
So the mill levy override was an offering from the state to fill what they suspected would be our gap. The actual, to get into a school finance formula can be pretty complex, but I do want to say this. What happened was there used to be a multiplier on the student formula where they pay us for each student that comes into the district. That was a multiplier based on the cost of living. They eliminated that as a multiplier for those students. And so that impact was going to be very severe for about 6 districts that have a very high cost of living associated with their residents. And that would have been around a $5 million drop once it's enacted. And so they allowed for the mill levy to be increased, and if we were able to get voter approval, it would keep us at that level of funding that we've been currently enjoying.
Great. Some taxpayers, and actually, member businesses ask whether the district has tightened its belt enough before coming to the voters. Like, what efficiencies have you already captured? And where's the line between cutting fat and cutting quality?
I'm going to let Theren take this. No, because he worked so hard last year, and our teachers worked so hard last year to make up those efficiencies.
Yeah.
So I can really succinctly answer this. We had a negotiation with our association not last year but the year before, and it became very clear that if we didn't start making these kinds of adjustments to how we were spending money, we would be in a very dire position where we would be losing multiple staff members without our choice, and making draconian cuts to a lot of our programming, and not being able to provide cost of living raises or adjustments for our staff. And I think a lot of businesses and communities have faced that. In a unique situation, we were able to partner with our association, and we went through the entire budget and figured out ways that we could do this. In fact, we had a great algorithm that was developed by one of our math teachers, Josh Anderson and Marnie White on the Aspen Education Association, and together we figured out ways to, one, we were able to downsize the district by about 8 positions last year to make this work, because we had grown during COVID like so many area businesses have had as well. So we were cutting back that. We made cuts across every single one of the budgets to make sure that we were spending within our limits, but still maintaining the board's expectations around class sizes and the community's expectations on offering services like outdoor ed and some of the other things that are very popular in the school district. So I thought we did a great job of prioritizing, but at the same time being very fiscally minded when we went through and did it. I just wanted to commend the board. They also did not just want to jump into another bond, which was recommended 2 years ago, because they were just trying to check the boxes of some of the things that weren't able to be purchased in the previous bond due to COVID expenses and some deferred maintenance. And they wanted to do an overall master facilities look before we jumped into that. I just thought it was very prudent.
Yes.
And I thought that we had the same prudence when we went into the cost accounting we did this year.
All right, let's start with the mill levy override, which would raise the local limit from 25 to 47%, generating roughly $5 million annually. How would that new money be used, and kind of what are the top priorities for that?
So the mill levy override is really to keep Aspen School District whole.
So it's backfilling from the state?
It is backfilling from that state loss.
Well, I'm getting good at this.
Right.
I hope our voters are too.
Yes. Right. So last year, the Colorado legislature changed how schools could be funded, and we are a locally funded district. And I will say that Aspen has had the highest impact to school funding of anyone anywhere in the state. And so the mill levy override really is going to be used for the lost state funding. It keeps things in Aspen the way that our parents expect and the way that people expect, which is keeping our class sizes small. It supports curriculum, and it keeps all of our coveted programs. So we really need that for.
Yes, it sounds like it. What safeguards exist to ensure it's truly those funds are truly going to operations like salaries and classroom support rather than when you say backfill, are we backfilling to exactly that, classroom support and teacher salaries?
So
you go for it, Theren.
one of the things we found when we did the expense task force, the biggest lever we can pull as a district that ameliorates our overall general fund ask is staffing.
Okay.
It is the 800-pound gorilla that we have to be able to do. And one of the things that our board and our community have been very, very emphatic about is keeping the smaller class sizes that are recommended by our board. That's an education that many generations of folks here in Aspen.
Tell me the class size right now. Where are we keeping it?
So right now it's 22 at the secondary level, and it can go up to 24, and we like to keep it around 18 in K1 and 2.
Okay, that's great. Let's see, and let's say for a homeowner with an actual property value of about $1 million, district materials estimate that the cost is about $62 per year. Is that accurate across the board?
Yes.
About 62
It's
for
62
the mill.
per $1 million of actual valuation.
Okay, less, under, more, over. Right?
Correct.
Okay, I think we know that, but okay.
But no, it's important to be, people ask that
It's
question.
not like a scaled anything, it just, it is.
Okay. Capital bond, now to the $95 million bond on the capital side. It's really meant to tackle facility maintenance, classroom space, and most urgently, it sounds like employee housing. How many housing units are envisioned and for which staff positions?
So we are hoping to acquire or build 55 new units with this bond. That's what's budgeted for right now, because we currently house a lot of our teachers, but in the next 20 years or so, we're going to have a lot of teachers that retire who might have free market housing. And so we really need to be able to, when we recruit teachers, have housing. If all of our teachers are housed, then we will also be able to extend that hopefully to staff as well, because we currently do not house non-certified teachers.
I see. Theren, $95 million. How did you guys arrive at that figure? Because back in 2020, the district approved a similar size bond, but inflation and scope change delayed some of the projects. What's been built so far, and what lessons are we carrying forward in that?
We mentioned it earlier, but going to a master facilities plan was a really good idea, and we were able to prioritize a lot of the projects that we wanted to do, and also finish some of the things that we weren't able to finish during the bond. I also just think that we were able to also create a lot of public-private partnerships that we'd be looking at for funding some of those initiatives going down the road, and not just have it be solely publicly funded. So we, I think, have a much better plan in doing that moving forward. I think we arrived at the number of houses just based on the pure math of operation. And so we know how many teachers will be retiring over the next 10 years, and we know that it would be very unlikely that anybody that we hire will be able to afford housing anywhere close to the district. And schools are unique, and I do need to say this. you can't live 2 hours away from a school district. If we do that, we lose our coaches, we lose all of the extracurricular activities that we typically would expect from our staff when we do that. So just making sure that they are still members of the Aspen and Pitkin County community.
I think that's a really good point. And if one measure passes but not the other, say the bond passes but the mill levy fails, what gets delayed or cut?
Well, they are for two different funding sources.
Okay,
so the school finances are very prescribed by law, and so we can't use mill levy override to build facilities, and we can't use facilities money to backfill that $5 million
really interesting.
loss.
Yeah.
So that is the reason why there are two ballot initiatives that are so important. Is that they have different purposes and they fund different things, and so if the bond does not pass, it means that we will not have we won't have any more teacher housing, which hurts our ability to attract and retain great teachers. Because again and again, every story you hear is about the new teachers who have come in who have been wonderful additions, and they are so thankful that we have housing so that they can come here, and then a lot of people who can stay because they do have housing. So we appreciate all of that.
I'm sure, yeah. Okay, let's talk about this elephant in the room, which to me is the total tax burden. That's really what the sales tax. Yeah, we're switching over to the sales tax side now. But there's other measures that are stacking up on overrides as well. So, but now we're moving over to sales tax. With the airport closure likely to slow visitor spending in 27, adding new property and sales taxes gives some business owners some pause. Why is this the right time to ask? And kind of in my opinion is you've waited and now this might not be the best time, but it is the time that you need to make the ask because you seem to have done the work. And with what's going on the state level, that really is like a new twist in all of this. But why are we asking for this increase in the sales tax?
So currently, there is a sales tax that will sunset next year, and so the current 0.3%, and so that goes to the schools from the Aspen sales tax. Currently, parks and open space get 1.5%. So we're saying Aspen has said that they think that the school children are worth less percentile than, say, the open space and trails. And what we are asking for is just a little bit more money for the schools from the city of Aspen, because
changing
we think
the
this
ratio
is such an important
or
thing. We are asking because then the city council themselves can choose how they want to do the other percentiles if they want to keep it below 10%. I also would point out Snowmass sales tax is above 10%. Now, at the same time, Rachel Richards brought up, who's the mayor of Aspen, brought up a lot of points about equity, and that was where this elephant came in about whether or not to do the increase in the sales tax. We are very thankful to the city of Aspen for putting this on the ballot because there was a question of whether or not they were going to allow that or not, and so we were really interested to see what the city of Aspen voters say about the increased sales tax. And again, equity is a deal because, say, the ABC is not included in the sales tax. Our mountains are not included in the sales tax. Snowmass is not included in the sales tax. And so in the next couple of years, we have said that we will look into if we could create a special taxing district. It's just that creating a special taxing district, it takes lobbyists, much like what's going on with that early childhood education tax that's on the ballot. And we aren't lobbyists. I am a school board member because I want Aspen School District to be the best that it can be, but I am not an overall lobbyist about, school financing in Aspen. So So that's where the equity issues come in.
You raise a good point. I thought the sunset was taken off already. So you guys came for 5 years, said we need the additional funding. You went back at the end of the 5 and said we need 5 more. And now are you asking for the sunset to just go bye-bye, or are you just asking for an increase with the sunset or an increase no sunset?
We're asking for an increase with the sunset.
Okay.
We would have asked without the sunset, but the city council asked us to have the sunset on there, so we are going to keep doing that.
Okay, doesn't seem like it's hopefully sunsetting anytime soon. So
well, and we had made we had a great conversation with Bill Guth and Rachel and Christine and John, and had come to this conclusion that we would love to help ameliorate any of the issues that the city was having around the taxes and fix some of those areas that could happen. If we need to help them to get that adjusted back under the 10%, we could do that as well. And we thought that we didn't want to have this to be a permanent tax ask, because we think that we should have to come back and show what we've done with the money, and show that we've made a good faith effort to change some of those underlying mechanisms that have created the situation to begin with.
Got it. Finally, at what point does additional tax growth begin to dampen spending? Those diminishing return questions the economist raised. Did the district model that elasticity at all to figure out if there's a breaking point for all of us with the taxes? How high we can go before we start losing visitors and local spending? People go, I remember when the special district was over at Target and Lowe's, and you're looking at that bill going, oh my gosh, I'm just going to go to Walmart instead. So people make other decisions when the taxes start getting higher. Did you guys do any look to see how high we can go before people change their modeling and their behaviors?
I don't think that is our role. Our role is more to say that we feel we are asking the City of Aspen voters to support the schools through the sales tax, which a lot of time is carried by the visitors, not as much with the property tax, which is only with the locals, because there seems to be an elasticity of demand with Aspen luxury purchasing. And I understand,
we're always,
we're all
of course,
locals
looking out
here,
yeah.
and I make the argument all the time. Like, I live in Snowmass, but I come to Aspen to do all of my shopping based on, I'm here. So, we all support local businesses because we are geographically constrained.
But visitors might make different changes too.
Right. And again, I point to the fact that Snowmass has higher than 10% property or sales tax, and it's not diminishing the numbers of people visiting there.
They're not doing as well as we are over here. But I wouldn't say it was the tax, though. I wouldn't say it was the tax. But let me ask you a question. I understand when the fire districts comes and says, we want a sales tax because, my gosh, if there's a huge fire and we have to get rid of, evacuate, there's so many visitors involved in all of that. Why do you think a visitor would be responsible for paying a sales tax, let's say, for the schools? I don't see the direct correlation that I do with, the fire service. Is there a direct correvation?
No, there's not a direct correlation.
Okay.
It's more that we were trying to not burden the property owners anymore with even more.
Yeah, but I do think that just from so much of my work as being an administrator in the district, in particular being a principal, was that area realtors, so many people are very interested in the quality of a public school, and I think that without this extra funding that we've received from the Aspen Public Education Fund, which is the sales tax initiative, we would not have, when we looked at not having this money, it would be a loss of 36 positions overall for the district, and I can assure you much of our programming would go with it. And those are the things that I think have been emblematic of the Aspen ideal, and I think that the community has a vested interest in keeping that going. And I think that's really the impetus behind it, even if it isn't direct, it is indirect.
Yeah, I think also businesses, you can recruit better when you have
yes.
strong schools as well, right?
It's one of the most attractive reasons that we have for people staying in the Aspen area. And I can tell you the satisfaction of the overall community with the schools has been exemplary.
Yeah, I agree. What if tax collections fall short, let's say 10 or 20% below your forecast? Do you have a fallback plan?
Well, currently the school district does not have a lot of funds in their fund balance sheet. It got spent during COVID and interceding years. We have a new school board now that thinks differently about finances and the importance of building that reserve. So hopefully with building a reserve, we will have enough money for years where it is lean on the sales tax.
Yeah, because I can already see 2027.
Yes.
That's the big one for
We're all
me right
worried
now.
about 2027.
Yeah, exactly.
And in anticipation of that, I think we're very fiscally minded,
Yeah.
and we're going to continue to make sure that we don't use this money in any way that would expand our spending limits or any of those sorts of ways, so we can keep spending in our budget and make a fund balance so we can endure some of those hard times.
That will be great. What specific oversight or transparency tools will taxpayers have to track your progress? Are you guys doing quarterly dashboards or citizen committees, audits? What are you going to do?
That's a good question.
Well, I can answer that. First of all, we always have our bi-monthly, or sorry, I guess I should say this, two board meetings a month that we have where we always have a financial update that occurs in a public forum. In addition to that, we have a financial advisory board, which is has members of our community at large in the board, and they have an opportunity to answer any of those questions. And many of our presentations that we do at Rotary, at ACRA, and all those places or other places where we will be expected to do that information as well. And we always send out a report to the community on the bond spending as that starts to go, so people are clear on how we're using those bond funds as well.
Thanks.
Is a public organization, so we do have to put all of this information out there.
Yeah.
And
And it's on our
district,
website.
right? The school district budget, you are welcome to look at, and it really does have line items of all of the spending.
I hear ya. I've got mine out there too for everyone. Okay, we only have just a couple minutes left. So my question to either of you is, if both these measures, or if all the measures pass, what does success look like in 5 years from now in classrooms, in housing, or community impact?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I
Go
will
ahead,
take it. Because we really need these measures to pass in order to move for the next 20 years of the future of looking at how to educate our children. Education has changed. COVID was a major disruptor for school districts across the country and the world. And to move our education into the future, we really need these funding measures to pass for academics in order to have teachers and house them, keep them in the community, to keep building the absolutely amazing Aspen community. That's what makes Aspen so wonderful as a community, and having our teachers here is vitally important. And so with the measures, hopefully we hope that there will be some new developments with new teacher housing. I think that would be very exciting. We'll have some new facilities, hopefully. We are looking into athletic facilities, bus barn facilities, and then upgrading theater facilities. So just better places for our kids to learn and grow.
That's wonderful. Sarah, thank you for being here. Theren, thank you for being here and walking us through these really important issues. To everyone watching, ballots start arriving on October 10th. Early voting is October 27th. And Election Day, dun 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 dun, Tuesday, November 4th, 7 a.m., 7 p.m. Remember, your ballot may look different depending on where you live, Aspen, Snowmass, or unincorporated Pitkin County. So review your sample ballot before voting. Strong schools and healthy business climate go hand in hand. Informed voters are essential to both. I'm Debbie Braun. This is Aspen Affairs. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.